and welcome back to the 5 Minute Library, where we explore books that read you. This is Ira and Piyushi, and we're here with a very, very special guest today to cover the book Hacks for Life and Career by Sandeep Das.
Sandeep Das is a best-selling author of 3 books. There's a fourth one on the way. And he's written about 125 plus columns for great editorials like Fortune, Economic Times, Times of India. He's also a corporate speaker. He's graduated from IIMB in Seed, and I don't have even 1% of these qualifications. So I think we should hear from him now. Hi, Sandeep.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm really happy to be on this platform.
Yeah, so firstly, I just wanted to understand, you divided the book into certain key sections like entrepreneurship, meaningful life, personal finance, and so on. So if you could just tell our viewers in a brief what the book is about and why you divided it like this.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Ira and Piyushi. I'm happy you liked the book. The book is meant for people like you. So it's always nice to hear that you've liked the book. To take you through the genesis in terms of why I wrote the book and why it's structured like that, about a couple of years ago, I spoke to about 100 CXOs. And what they told me is 95% of millennials are unemployable. They don't have the right skill sets. And I spoke to about 200, 250 millennials, people like you, people slightly older than you. And they said that the education system we go to is largely useless. The books we read are out of date. Our professors don't know much. I can already see you both smiling. And similarly, the corporates we are in, they don't train us well. So there was this huge gap between what the leaders were expecting and what the millennials wanted. And that's where the book came in, where I tried to map out what do millennials really want to know and what do CXOs want the millennials to know. So that's the genesis of this book in terms of 62 chapters. So the reason I divided into those sections is because the nature of topics started coming out very clearly. For people of your generation, entrepreneurship is a very big thing. You both are entrepreneurs in a way. And people always ask, how do we really get started? What is the exact way to start something? What should we be careful about? So that's the thing on entrepreneurship. Personal finance came on very strongly because most people can earn money, but they don't know what to do with their money, and people don't teach them what to do with their money. So that's what personal finance came with. Another section in the book is in terms of the section called Gurukul. What happens is all of us read a lot of textbooks, Kotler, etc. But in the real world, you only need to know 15 to 20 concepts. And that's what I've highlighted in that first section, saying that 80% of the time you will do work related to these 15 to 20 concepts. So that's the genesis of the book. That's the reasoning I'd gone with the sections.
Okay. That's very interesting, especially because this is a demographic that we can relate to. So I have a question. What do you think, in your personal opinion, that millennials and Gen Z bring to the corporate workforce?
It's a very good question, because if you look at the generation earlier than you and my, say people 40 plus, what they essentially used to work for is a good salary, a good brand, and a good title, because that's where India was at that point. Think of your uncles, think of your fathers, think of your elder brothers in that generation. I think what the millennial generation has gone one step ahead, because most of them have seen a fair degree of affluence, a fair degree of opportunity. So the one thing that they're really looking to create is impact at work. So whenever they go to work every day, they should be able to either touch a few lives or do something that has tangible business impact or improve some real world metric. And I think that's the big difference the millennial generation comes in with. They want to create impact at work every day. And that's very good for a corporate or an entrepreneur who's hiring such people, because you have these people who are not just looking to take salary, but they're really looking to make a positive change. So if you can handle them well, they can do phenomenal things for your company.
I definitely agree with that. I think all of us have this very defined sense of purpose, and through our careers, we're looking to sort of achieve that sense of purpose. And I think that's something that, I probably would not have seen with, like you said, our fathers or our grandfathers. So definitely agree. But, like you mentioned, there are certain challenges that millennials do face. And we have access to so much information online, because there's so much content being churned out, but we still face a very unique set of challenges. So what do you think are some of the biggest things that are just stopping us from achieving our dreams?
I'd actually love to hear from you, but I'll start with my thoughts first. I think there is something fundamentally wrong with the education system. If you think of your college life, I'm sure you didn't like the textbooks you read. I'm sure the examples didn't resonate with you. Most of your professors and lectures you wouldn't have liked. So there's something wrong fundamentally with the textbooks and the system of teaching. So the examples are not contemporary, the theories are not contemporary, the examples are not what is likely to happen, it's not engaging enough. So what happens is a lot of people like you and other students, they sort of lose interest. What they want to know and what they're taught is very different. Similarly, when you come in a corporate, the training programs you go through are not really in line with what the participant wants. So I think that's the biggest mindset shift, the biggest challenge I think your generation will face in terms of the quality of education and in terms of the quality of the training. Not to say that you don't get all of this online. I'm sure you get some very good stuff online, but because there is so much information online, it's very difficult to go to that particular point and say all the quality information is at one place. But that's the biggest challenge in my view.
That's true. I agree with, and especially your last point about there being a lot of information online, which is why I think your book is particularly helpful. Because what it does is there are 62 chapters, but there are 62 very concise chapters that give you a very comprehensive view on, hey, this is a concept, this is the game theory concept, this is what it does, this is how it makes sense, and very briefly, this is how it ties back to why you will need it in the corporate world. So in a very crisp manner, I am educated about this and I can hold a conversation about it, which is why I really appreciate the way that the book is structured.
I really liked it because I see there's a lot of debate among all of my friends about whether the corporate lifestyle is good or not. And again, this is the same exact target demographic that's been mentioned in your book, right? So my question for you is, what are the pros and cons of working as a millennial or as someone from Gen Z in a corporate versus a startup? Because you've mentioned both in your book.
I think it's a very good question. And the first thing I want to start off by saying is what happens is people hype up the startup role a lot more and they sort of denigrate the corporate job. And I think that's wrong. I think both have their pluses and minuses. What happens when you work in a corporate is you are entering a well-oiled machinery. So already a lot of the work has been done. So say the work quality is at 7 on 10, you're trying to take the 7 to a 9 on 10. The difference is because it's a corporate, you'll work in a very small function because you're a smaller player in a larger ship and you'll try to achieve some scale in that on a higher quality of work. When you're in a startup, the breadth is a lot more because nothing has been done. You're trying to set up everything. So you do a bit of everything, but you're essentially starting from scratch. So both have their pluses and minuses. It depends on the individual. At some point in your life, you might want to be an entrepreneur. Some point in your life, you might want to be a corporate. For people who are listening to this podcast, my personal preference is the first 5 to 10 years of your career, you should go in a corporate because you will learn the ways of the world, the process, the methods, some of the systemic technologies, and then you should venture out on your own. Not to say that the other method doesn't work, but I think this is when you work for 10 years and then you step out, there's a higher probability of you being realistic with your maturity, your network, your contacts. So maybe there is a slightly higher chance you will succeed.
I think that that's a very good way to sort of summarize this argument. It's not either or, because of course both of them have their pros. It's sort of when you should get into what, which I really like.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so much chatter about, you know, both the sectors within our generation because nobody knows where to go. And, you know, like you said, like we're never told, whenever like nobody explains it to us about which one's the right, you know, space for us, because it all comes from biased viewpoints, right? Whether it's in our families or social environments. So I really like that, you know, the whole thing that you mentioned, the whole corporate sector and the startup, there's a whole section on startups within the book. Another thing I really liked was your writing style, and we both really liked it because again, it's so relatable with all the pop culture references. So our question is, why did you go ahead with that writing style? How did you come up with it? What was your process for it?
So my first book was titled Yours Sarcastically, and it was a very sarcastic way to look at modern day lives. And that sarcastic writing style had really clicked. So and if you see all my columns also, I write them in a very matter of fact, sarcastic, a pop culture reference kind of fiction. I've been a big fan of Tarantino, to be honest. So some of those references have come from that. But I think when you take something as heavy as my book, which is a lot of knowledge, which is a lot of education, if you need to make it relatable, I think you need to bring in movie characters, you need to bring in pop culture references, maybe some poor WhatsApp forward jokes also. But I think that's what's required to make a very dry piece of work come to life.
So we really enjoyed that with the Suits references.
A Beautiful Mind.
There were so many. They were
Yeah.
just all over the book, and I think that was incredible because we've never come across that kind of a writing style for this kind of a topic.
So Sandeep, I think we pretty much asked you all the things that we wanted to ask you. But on a closing note about the book, I just like to put out there that it says hacks for making it big, and that's what the book is. It's bite-sized hacks that you can refer to anytime you want a tip about how to invest. What does this graph mean? What am I telling my boss? It just gives you all these hacks in one place. So definitely check it out. And before we conclude, Sandeep, is there anything you wanted to ask us?
Thank you, Ira. Thank you, Piyushi, for the invite. I am very curious to know about your journey, and I'm sure your people who are listening to this podcast want to know about this because you both have jobs. You're doing something on the side. It's a hustle, as we call it. So take us through in terms of how you came up with this podcast idea. It was something driven in the pandemic. What are some of the challenges you faced? What gives you the kicks? So, tell us something about your journey.
In the spirit of total honesty, it was actually when we were smack in the middle of the lockdown and we were feeling a little stagnant, of course, because we were fortunate enough to be in a safe place, but that it does come with a little bit of that stagnancy. So we were thinking about what we could do, and then one night we had like a huge bottle of wine, and we got talking about what are the problems and what we like and what we dislike. And the next day we were just like, "Chal, let's start a podcast." And we were like, "Yeah." And we thought it'd just be something that fizzles out, like we don't follow through. But surprisingly,
we went with it.
Yeah, we decided, okay, even if we meet for 5 minutes after work every day to talk about it, we'll at least do that much, and let's see where it goes.
So, and we didn't expect it to have this kind of reach. I mean, the only thing that we stuck to was 10 minutes of work minimum a day, nothing else. I mean, if we managed to sit through for like an hour or so, it was great. But even if we couldn't, a minimum of 10 minutes, we did that. And it just, I think consistency really helps.
Yeah.
Just like small steps.
I think one of the challenges that was sort of there was, we always felt like we didn't know enough to really put anything out there. We felt very intimidated by the volume of content that's already out there in the world. And we sort of struggled to figure out why our content would be different. And I think that's where we have opposing personalities. Right. So I'm a little bit of I obsess over things and I'm like, no, it has to be this way. And Piyushi is more, let's do it, let's get it done, let's expand our range, let's experiment. So we sort of bring that
together.
Yeah.
Like she looks over the nitty-gritties of, say, content, design, structure, how we're going to put it out. And I'm more of an outreach person. So that's how we sort of balance it out, and it works well. So yeah.
No, that's really nice to know. That's really nice to know. It's doing very well. That's how I came to know about the podcast. A couple of friends of mine are talking about it. So that's really good. So keep up the good work, and yeah, that's very well done.
So exciting!
Yeah, oh my god, people are... That's so exciting for us. You have no idea. We just started in Jan, so this is we really didn't expect this kind of reach when we put it out there. But I think we are done with our review for the book, but we have so much more coming. So stay tuned. We will be putting out, hopefully when Sandeep's 4th book releases, we'll be putting out a notice for our viewers, for our listeners. No pressure here, no pressure on authors at all. So yes, and thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you for being a guest on our podcast and of course making our week.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you again.
It was really nice. And to all our listeners, stay tuned for the episode. It'll be out on all streaming platforms and Instagram. And we'll see you in 5.